Welcome, AI Alchemist. Jessica here from the Real AI Agents, and today we're on a thrilling journey into the heart of digital creation with Leonardo AI. Imagine blending your artistic vision with the power of generative AI to forge digital masterpieces unlike anything you've seen before. We're diving deep into the latest updates that Leonardo AI has to offer, including those game-changing image organizing collection folders and the new transformative elements that will elevate your art to new heights. Join me as I reveal how I blend art and science using my top 5 favorite elements to craft stunning visuals that transcend the ordinary. Whether you're here to refine your craft or explore new territories in digital artistry, you're in the right place. Let's merge imagination with innovation and see what incredible creations we can bring to life together. So we're going to come into Leonardo AI. We're going to hit launch app here. And then of course you've got your get started here if you want to just jump into image generation. But what I want to show you first is the latest update that they've added, a collections ability, which is really nice for digital artists who are looking to compartmentalize some of their designs for a little bit more organization in the platform. So if you come in over to the left-hand side here where your personal feed is, that's where the images you've already generated are all contained. So I'm going to come in over here and you can see at the top, you've got your generations, follower feeds, like feed, and collections. This collections is what we're going to take a look at first. And you can see I've already sorted some of mine. I gave them titles and pulled them all in. So I'm just going to show you real quickly how I did that by creating a new collection. So I'm going to come right here where it says create collection. You can see it's a little folder looking thing and you just want to give it a title. So for this one, let's do dragons. I have a lot of dragon images. And then once you've given it that name, you just select the folder tab and you can see you can either add images from this spot here or you can add images from this spot. So let's go ahead and click this plus sign and you've got a couple of options on how to choose your images. So you can literally scroll down through your images, which can take a while if you've been using the system for a while. So I've been in here for about maybe 4 months now. And I mean, it would take me a good 35 minutes to scroll through all of my images. So one of the quicker ways to do that is to come to where it says search prompts here. And if I've used that word in the prompt, it should pull up that image. So obviously, I'm not going to get a dragon in an image without using the word dragon in a prompt for the most part. So I'm just going to go ahead and put dragon and hit search. And you'll see that it does go ahead and pull up those dragons. So even in looking through these, I do have quite a bit to scroll through, but since I know that for the most part these are all going to contain dragons, which it looks like they in some way do, so I can go ahead and just start selecting the ones that I want to put in the folder. So if I want to put them all in, I would just select them. And for right now, I will say I haven't seen how you can do like a select all at once, but that's okay, because one of the biggest complaints that Leonardo creators were having was that there was no way to organize the art once it was created. And for content creators, sometimes when you're looking to put together a series on images that you've already generated that you just know you have multiple of that you haven't used, it can be really time consuming to have to go through and scroll that entire feed trying to find when that image was. So not being able to pull it up quickly and have it compartmentalized so that I can go through and say, you know, hey, I need 4 images for a dragon post coming up. So what 4 images look most alike that I can use in a series? You know, I couldn't see all of those together even without going in and searching the prompt word, which I've had a lot of issues with being able to search my gallery actually working. There have been numerous times when I've come in and that wasn't a feature that was working that day, which of all the features, I mean, fine, it is what it is, but this is really nice to have this ability. So now you see that I've clicked all of those dragon images that I had on there. So now when I hit confirm and I go back to collections, you can see that it has been added to its own collection and I can go right in and just pull that right there. And I do have the ability to search in the galley, but it hasn't been working. So just like I said there, sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off on this, but that's okay. This is awesome that we can do this. And another really cool thing, just if you didn't know this for the future, if you come in and you want to do select the images to download, you can collect or select as many images as you want and do a download. So let's say that's what I want to do, and I come up here, I can hit download, and I can download either just the original images or all variations of the images. So if I've used like the Upscaler or the Refiner, that will download them all into a zip file for me. So this collections feature is really a great addition to Leonardo. So I suggest you go in and make your collections. Okay, so let's get started by talking about what an element is and how you can apply it to your image when you're creating different content in Leonardo. So when you're on the homepage here, you've got two options to start your image generation. You can come here under the Get Started tab to image generation, simply click it and it'll take you to your generation page, or under user tools over here on the left, you can click image generation here. Both will take you to the same screen. In the middle here, under AI image generation, this is where you put your prompt. This is your model that you choose, which affects the way that the overall image comes out. And then you have your filters you can pick. If you want more information on how to use these models and filters, I will link that right up here for you. And I will have the list curated in the description of the videos I highly recommend checking out if you're interested in knowing how those work. But today we're going to focus on the elements. So you can see here the third option, add elements. And there are quite a few different elements on here for you to choose from. They recently added, I think it was like 12 new elements to the list. So there are quite a few, especially if you click off the show only compatible, you can see that there are a ton of additional ones on here. But I'm going to click show compatible only, and you can see that these are the ones that we can use. Gives us the opportunity to choose up to 4 of them at a time. So we're going to start off just talking about my top 5 favorite, and I'm going to show you an image generation versus the generation of using the element on that particular same prompt for each of my top 5 favorite. And then we'll combine them and we'll see how it works when you put multiple elements on an image. So come along with me. We're going to start with the prompt, 8K photorealistic close-up beautiful queen sitting on their throne as the base prompt for all of the different elements we're going to try on this first image here. So let's go ahead and just run it without any elements using Leonardo Vision XL. And here you can see what we get. It's a pretty good image of the queen sitting here on her throne in pretty fine detail. The arm is a little wonky over here, but we could fix that. Next up, I ran the dark arts at a weight of 0.70 and it produced this image of this queen sitting on her throne. You can see there's a little distortion in the hand, but compared to the no element, that's a pretty cool dark art image. You can see it really changed the look of her throne. Next, I ran the glass core at the same 0.70 weight and it came up with an image that is rather interesting here. You can see that it made her dress appear as glass. Her crown is glass. Pretty cool comparison there between those two. Next up, we have dragon scales at 0.70, and you can see how cool it is that it added the scales to her armor, and it made the throne behind her leather. So very cool comparison there. Now let's try Cybertech at a weight of 0.70. You can see it turns the queen into a very futuristic looking, almost like an AI humanoid. A lot of technical aspects and a very cybernetic feel to it. Comparatively to the original image, it's a very different image for being the same prompt, which I think is really cool. And the last single element change we have for this prompt is color pop, weighted at 0.70. And you can see the image here it made. It really kind of screwed up her hand. It gave her 2 hands, actually messed up the fingers a lot. But as far as like the color change and the tone, this is great for illustrations or storybooks that you're doing. Perfect element for those kind of things. So you can see in the comparison here of how it takes the original image and with that element turns it into a cartoon. So now let's get really creative and add multiple different elements to the same prompt and see what sort of end result image we can get. So you can only use 4 elements at a time. So I'm going to leave color pop off of this one, and we're going to just use dragon scale, cybertech, dark arts, and glass core for this example. The reason I'm doing that is because I've found personally in the art that I've done that color pop and dark art sort of battle against each other a little too much and cause chaos. So I have weighted all 4 of these at 0.3. That's a good spot to start when you're using multiple elements. Whereas 0.7 is my natural go-to for just one element, 0.3 is really how to go for multiple. And you can see here, it brought in the glass element, it brought in that cyber tech feel. She's got definitely sort of a dark, mysterious vibe to her. And then the comparison here, I mean, for not changing anything about the prompt and only adding those 4 elements at that weight to produce an image like that, I think it's just amazing. So for this next example, I used the prompt 8K photorealistic close-up mysterious wizard with a staff. You can see the original image it created, and then the dark arts. Notice in the dark arts how it creates the smoke behind him, the darker colors, the more ominous feel. It really has more of a wizard type feel for this one, I think, as far as for a dark wizard. Glass core kind of made him look like a fisherman, honestly, because of the way that it produced like the bucket hat and the outfit that he's wearing in the glass, but still cool nonetheless. Dragon scales, I thought this one was really neat if I were doing like a dragon story and I needed a wizard because he really would go along with it with that kind of outfit there. The staff even is a little bit different, which I think is really cool in that. Color pop, you'll notice that I did all of these at 0.70 again, and I'm going to show you why in just a minute. You have to go against your instinct to turn it all the way up. But you can see here in this one, again, it's that kind of illustrated look that you get with the color pop. Cybertech, this one is a very futuristic wizard. You'll notice that it did mess up his hands though. He only has 3 fingers and 2 thumbs. So not a huge fan of how it produced that image, but I really like the one where I combined all 4 of them on the wizard. I thought this gave him a really cool appearance. Before we move on to our last example, which is going to be an inanimate object so that you can see what it does to something that isn't a human figure when you add these elements, I just want to show you really quickly why you don't want to just go ahead and zoom that toggle bar all the way up to the highest part on each element. Unfortunately, that's our natural, like, nature way of wanting to do things is like to the extreme, right? So you would think if I put the element all the way up, I'm going to get a cooler image. Well, unfortunately, when you do that, it does cause quite a bit of distortion. So I highly recommend starting at a much lower number. And if you like what it's doing to the image, slowly step it up from there in a progression. I have found that 0.7 works perfectly for a lot of my needs. That might not be exactly what you need, but figure out that number and start from that base all the time instead of starting from an extreme. Okay, so for the non-human object, I put UFO in an intergalactic world, and you can see here what it looks like with none of the elements added, just that simple prompt. Then we've got cybertech. Really gives it more of a futuristic feel. Dark arts actually added a person and a very ominous feel to the image. Scales actually turned the dragon scales onto the UFO, which I thought was cool. The glass core kind of made a see-through UFO, which is neat. Color pop, I love the brightness of this image. And then this is all 4 of them again combined. And you guys know I love a good upscale project. So I did go ahead and pull this into the universal upscaler in Leonardo so that you can see how this works. So I'm just going to grab that generated image here from my generations. Okay, great. And then I just select it and you'll see that I can upscale it for 110 tokens in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, leaving the creativity on 5. So it doesn't alter the image too much. It should just clear it up and make it look a little bit better. So let's go ahead and upscale that. It does take just a couple of minutes to upscale this. So I'm going to come right back. Here we go. It's ready now. So let's take a look. All right. So the slider bar here will show us how much it's cleared up. You can see the detail is really refined, much clearer image. Love the way this looks. And that's it for today, guys. I'm Jessica with the Real AI Agents. As always, keep looking towards the future.